All right, let's cut open the bag here, see what's inside. Body tube, some fin stock, parachute, centering rings, some motor mount stuff. All right, let's cut out the centering rings here. Do this very carefully so you don't bend them. They're not exactly strong. Do a test fit. Got that one on. That one didn't quite go on. Let's do some sanding, which helps with the fit and helps for the glue to adhere. That's 220 grit, it looked like. Just sanding out the insides there. It looks like I got it on there. The fit into the body tube was much looser on the OD of the centering rings. So here we're lining up where to put the slit into the motor tube so that the motor hook can go in. So we cut a little slit there with a hobby knife. Do the test fit. And that ring there, that clear ring, is to keep the motor hook on the tube. And you want to place it so that you can pull the motor hook back to put the motor in. Yet the motor hook still be, I guess, in a place such that it'll still hold the motor in. So you want the motor hook to hold the motor in, but you also want to be able to pull it back to pull the motor out. So I just kind of went by feel to put it in a good spot where I thought it would be a good spot, basically. All right, I'm using wood glue, Type Bond 2, for basically this whole build. And I use my fingers to make it smooth. All right, now let's do the forward centering ring. That was the one that was a little tighter. Struggling to get it on. Should have sanded it more. I do eventually get it on. Yep, there we go. Yep. Smoothing out the glue there. I put some more glue on that side because I'm going to have this thing upside down when it dries. And I'll put some glue in the tube to glue the thrust ring in. It's a forward thrust ring. Okay, I believe I'm going to set that upside down to dry here in a second. Oh yeah, and make sure there's no excess glue in the motor tube, or else you won't be able to glue or else you won't be able to slide the motor in and out easily because the glue will be messing that up. All right, scuff up the body tube to prepare it for the fins and launch lug. I'll get some other stuff out. That there is the fin marking guide. So what you'll do here is wrap this around the tube and tape it on and make marks for where your fins will go. So you just got to cut that out there. Get some tape. Put the tape in between those hash marks that line it up. If you can see what I'm talking about there. Yeah. Try to get it tight. And then we do these marks with a pencil. Make sure the one for the launch lug you kind of label or differentiate from the other one, so that way you know that that mark is for the launch lug. All right, looks like I went all the way around. And here's my tool for marking the tube. You can use a door frame for this, but I prefer to use this angle iron. It works better. The door frames, it's harder to keep the line straight than to use this angle iron. So that's why I use that. All right, so I'm pulling out the fin stock, breaking the fins out very carefully. Probably should have used the hobby knife or sandpaper there, but on this particular kit, they came out pretty easily. I'm going to line them all up and sand them down. It's important to sand down the root edge very flat so that way the fins get the full surface area to glue onto the tube. So that'll make the fin joint strongest. Sanding the other edges is just so that the rocket looks better. And here I'm going to apply wood glue to the root edge and smooth it out and let it dry. This is the technique for getting the fins glued on strongest onto the tube, and they are swept aft fins that will break off very easily just per the design, so we'll try to glue them on really well here. And this is a good time to do some more fillets on the motor mount. Make sure it's very strong. And then glue the motor mount in the tube. So I put the glue on the side. That helps for letting it dry. I like to let it dry right side up, as you can see there, so that way the glue, if it drips, it'll drip onto the top surface of the forward centering ring. And this here is the shock cord mount, which we're going to do while the glue for the motor mount dries, and the parachute. So wood glue isn't the fastest drying glue you can find, but it is not toxic, so I like to use it. And it's strong, and it works well for these kind of rockets. But it does take a long time to dry. But while it's drying, you can do other parts of the rocket like this, like cutting the hole out of the parachute. So that way the rocket descends quicker, doesn't float away. This is my technique for gluing the shock cord and the shock cord mount. I do it the same way every time, just about. I try to get as much surface of the shock cord with glue on it as I can to make it strongest. It's a surprisingly strong shock cord mount, this style. Usually you'll see the shock cord burn up or tear before the shock cord mount. And I'll also take this time to cut out the hole for mounting the shock cord in the nose cone. There's usually an extra piece of plastic there that you got to cut out. And here's some Big Bertha decals. We'll go ahead and cut those out while we continue to wait for the glue to dry in the motor mount. And these cuts don't have to be perfectly straight because the area around the letters is clear. Same with the stripes. So that's good enough. And I'll tie the shock cord to the cone here. It's nice tying knots in the elastic cord because they can get really tight. And I'm making a loop for the parachute. It's a little bit tangled up, but I will untangle it. It's a huge parachute for this size rocket, but with fins like this, you kind of need it, really. Or just hope to fly on a field with soft ground. That's really the best bet for not breaking the fins off. Then I'm going to roll it up to keep it untangled while I work on the rest of the rocket. I'm going to sand the cone some. This will help the paint stick to the cone. Okay. Now I'm marking the tube with about the length of the fin, so I know how far up the tube to put the glue. So I'm putting this glue on each line. I'm going to let it dry for a little bit, but not all the way. This helps with sticking the fins on. These are giant fins, so it's important to do a good job on this part. So this is about the amount of glue I put on, and then I just let it sit. So that way the fin will just tack right on. I didn't put glue on that longer line because that's where the launch lug is going to go. I didn't know that my hand was that shaky. Again, we're just holding it to let the glue dry some. Oh, looks like I'm going for the first fin. There we go. So that's how you tack it on, just like that. And I'll do the rest of them. Unfortunately, we were outside of the camera view now, but my workspace / camera viewing area was not big enough. So unfortunately, putting those other fins on was out of the camera view. But there they are. You can see that they're on there. All right, so now I'm going to do the fillets on the fins. This is the way I like to do it with the wood glue. Just put a little glue on the intersection there and just smooth it out with your fingers so that it looks good when you paint it. It also helps keep the glue from running while it dries. And it's just a process to get through all of them. However, the process is going to be interrupted here in a minute. So stay tuned for a major rocket mistake here. All right. So I'm just finishing up all the sides. And that's weird. The rocket is not sitting flat. And you see, what happened was, as I made what is a somewhat common mistake when building this rocket, and that is gluing the wrong edge of the fin to the tube. I didn't glue the root edge on, I glued the other long edge on because they look so similar. It's so easy to make this mistake. And so basically, I have to re-glue this fin back on because I glued it on the wrong way originally. And so we see I took a paper towel there just to wipe the wood glue off. Unfortunately, it was still wet enough for me to do that. And now I am beginning the process of gluing this fin back on again. And it's the same process as originally. I just wiped the glue off, like I said, just starting over again. And yeah, I'm letting that glue sit and get tacky for a second here. And then I'll glue the fin back on. So the good news is it was a mistake, but it was completely recoverable. And my recommendation is to mark that root edge of that fin before gluing the fins on so you don't make the same mistake as me. And it is, like I said, it's an easy mistake to make with this rocket. Most rockets, it's not an easy mistake to make on, but for this one it is because both edges look like the root edge. So be careful there. You don't want to have to do what I did here in this video. You can do it, but it's not fun. So, and then while it dries, I just like to either sit the rocket upside down or right side up. And looks like I'm going to go ahead and go for the launch lug here. And there it is, on nice and straight. I placed it a little bit above the leading edge of the fins there. Looked like a good spot for it. And I'm going to do the fillets on this fin that I had to re-glue back on. You can still see some glue on that other edge from where it was previously glued on. But I smoothed that out, so you won't even know once I paint it. And I'm going to do a fillet on the launch lug. I'm putting it towards the forward edge of the launch lug because I'm going to let this thing dry upright mostly. So if any of the glue drips, it'll drip in a direction where there's not glue already. Just like that. All right. As you can see, the rocket is now spray painted yellow. And I'm getting some masking tape out to mask off that yellow paint for painting the fins black. And I like to try to get some of the sticky off of the tape so that it doesn't peel off that yellow paint when I put it on there to paint those fins black. And I'm going to hand paint them. That's just the way I chose to do this time. It makes the masking process easier, and when you're spray painting these rockets outside, spray paint smells bad, so you don't want to take them inside for a while. And the paintbrush paint that I'm going to use here does not smell bad, and I can do it inside my house, so there is an advantage there. I don't know that I'd recommend hand painting the whole rocket, but another option may be to hand paint the fins and then put a yellow vinyl wrap around the upper section of the tube. That might be an alternate method if you didn't want to use spray paint. And that, yep, got almost all the masking tape on there now. And getting the paint out. And that paint almost looked like it had a bluish tint to it. It wasn't entirely black. So the problem was that it wasn't black paint. So there's the black paint there. So try to pay attention to what you're doing when you're building these rockets and don't take the wrong paint out. Clearly, I rushed through this thing about as fast as I could. I probably should have been a little more careful there. But nonetheless, it came together great. The black paint went on the yellow paint very well. So now we'll do the next fin. It's a little bit of a process. Takes a minute, but that's okay. We will get there. All right. 2 of the fins are now painted black. Okay, so now it's dried some. So now that it's dry, I'm taking the tape off. And it's not a perfect job, but from 10 feet away, you won't know that the paint is not perfect. And I'll get going on the decals. I like to put some glue in there. Not sure how much that really helps, but that's just the way I do it. So I'm going to start with the bottom stripe so I can hold on to the tube when I do the other decals. So let that sit in there, pull it out. And this is how you put the decals on. This part is a little bit tricky. My launch lug placement didn't help with this lower stripe decal, but I got through it. And we'll do the Big Bertha letters here. And just slide it on. Make sure you keep those decals plenty wet while you're doing this so they don't rip. All right. Try to get through the last one. Looks like it's in the right spot. Close enough. And now we're going to finally glue the shock cord into the rocket. I do this last because it's easier to paint the rocket and do the decals without the shock cord in there. You can see that Big Bertha decal is still wet while I'm doing this. I just hold that in there till I think it's dry. All right. All right, let's get started. This is the Estes Goblin rocket flying on an Estes C53 motor, and it does not go exactly as planned. Let's check it out.
Look like that parachute's gonna come out. Oh man, come on parachute. Ooh. Yeah. Okay, let's see what the damage is. So the parachute is just stuck. It did not come out. Just too tight.
Now let's check out the red and gray paper towel tube rocket, which had a flight that was almost too perfect. There was nothing really great about it. It was almost boring for a rocket. Not that any rocket launch can be boring, but it flew so well, there was nothing very remarkable about it. The only thing to note is that it didn't go completely straight up, and that's because the fins aren't as big as they could be, because I kept chopping off the edges to get that intricate, cool-looking shape to them, so it's not as stable as it could be, but still flies very, very well.
Perfect. Perfect. Looks perfect. Very good.
All right, let's check out the Estes multi-rock flying on an E11-30 Blackjack. Wait, I know. It's not exactly the original multi-rock, but it is still a multi-rock. All I had to do was replace the body tube, motor mount, nose cone, shock cord, parachute, but the fins are multi-rock fins, so it does qualify as a multi-rock.
Keep going.
So the backstory on this rocket here is that it's had multiple flights, but on the one directly before this, the parachute got a little bit tangled up because I don't think I did a very good job on packing the parachute before that flight. And this one was to redeem that last one where the parachute got tangled up. And also it got mud on the fins on that last flight, which we'll see here in a second.
100% chance that it will work this time. No question about it. All right, so it looks like it was a successful flight. Well, it was a successful flight, but will it be a successful recovery?
How far do you think we've walked?
We have walked, half a mile.
So I thought it looked like about a half mile. Hold this.
Okay.
We walked for 8 minutes.
Some umbrellas for the rain. Okay, go ahead. 8 minutes.
A third of a mile.
1/3 of a mile?
0.31.
Okay. So let's start with the parachute here.
Here, I'll take the umbrella.
Yeah, that's yours. So, let's see if I did a good job. Okay, so this is where I tied a knot here. This is a little bit tangled here, but this was what made it happen and work that I tied this here. I bet this was like that while it's coming down. So this is a good job. A little bit of twisting here, but that's great. Now let's check the back of the rocket. This is a nice long shock cord. Good, the motor's still in here. That was good. It's a good rocket. These fins can't come off. These have got some really strong internal fillets. Obviously it landed last time without the parachute opening, and these fins are they're almost unbreakable. The wood would definitely break before the fin joint itself.
Yeah, that dirt doesn't look like it matches this field, Robbie.
So the dirt came off. So some of the dirt came off.
Oh, that's old dirt. What have you got here?
This is how you pack a parachute for flight.
At least it's tangled now.
Maybe this is how I did it on that time.
Oh no! What are you doing?
That's what happened? It's ready to go.
Oh, that's nasty.
This rocket here is an old rocket, as you can see, because it has launch lugs on it. But I went ahead and added rail buttons to it, and it really does fly so much straighter off of the rail than it did the launch lugs. So I'm glad I put those rail buttons on there.
What's the debate?
I think that's the rocket straight ahead of us. It's on the other side of the brush.
Let's see if I can zoom in.
Yeah, coming up on my rocket here.
Were you tricking me the whole time?
No, I wasn't. I was not tricking you. I really thought that must have been it. But I mean, either way, I was like within 30 feet of the. Oh no!
Oh no!
Oh no! It should have landed in the tall grass, or this would have never happened. What? What? No. This is.
Tell the truth. How old are those fins?
I'm trying to figure out if this was in the late 90s, maybe early 2000s. Yeah.
So you're
Yes.
saying those fins might be older than some of your viewers.
This parachute is from either like a old rocket R&D or one of those old school rocket companies from the 90s. But yeah, these fins did not make it. What a shame. They need to water this grass. I think that's the problem. Huh.
All right, let's take a look at the Estes E12 motor, which is, at this point, my favorite Estes motor. It has a lot of thrust and a great burn time, and it just surprises me every time I see it launch. It's a great motor. It's time to subscribe.